Today we are going to be giving a very visual overview of how responsive search ads work on Google. And we have here with us Dustin and Adam from the NordicClick team who will be demonstrating this using our AdMock tool that you can find online at nordiclick.com/AdMock. This is a free tool, so feel free to hop on and give it a go. And if you're looking at this tool, you're kind of playing around with it, you maybe have some more questions, or you're thinking you maybe don't want to tackle it yourself, let us know. Reach out to NordicClick. We would be very happy to assist you, to help you set up some responsive search ads. With that, Dustin and Adam are going to walk us through a couple of examples, one B2B example and one B2C example. So there you go. I'll hand it off to Dustin.
Thank you, Justine. As she said, you can follow along at NordicClick/AdMock, and you'll land on this page here. And so we're going to be looking at RSAs, or responsive search ads, compared to ETAs, or expanded text ads. So expanded text ads were sunset by Google this past summer, and RSAs have been taking its place ever since. So RSAs uses the same format as expanded text ads, but allows you to test different variations right away using machine learning or AI. So this ad format consists of 3 different headlines that are going to be in blue right here, and 2 different descriptions that are going to be in black. But the main difference is you can start to add up to 15 different headlines, 4 different descriptions. All the ad extensions remain the same, like you have site link, call out, app, all that type of stuff. But we're going to focus more on the headlines and the descriptions because that is the main difference. So when creating headlines and descriptions, it's good to think about keywords relevant to your ads and kind of theme them together per ad group. And then think about what you are offering, the problem you are solving, a call to action, and what makes your business unique. And then also in this tool, we do have character counts because there is limitations for headlines, which is up to 30 characters, and then descriptions are up to 90. We will start with an example for a B2B client, example time tracking software. So first, you're going to put in your final URL here. And then you have 2 different paths to kind of clean up the URL if the landing page has a really long URL. This just helps clean up the ad visually. And now we'll just start adding in different headlines. And then you can see how these total possible combinations start increasing. So here I'm going to add in the first 3. And then you hit this plus button and you can add up to 15. So for this example, I'll just add 3 more real quick. And this is a good example. So we do have those character counts, which was mentioned before, and this one is actually over by 1. So for professional services firms, you would have to play around with this to get this to work, or you might have to figure out a different way to say this. But now you have 240 different combinations here, and you can hit this randomized combination button. And when you hit this button, it changes the combination of the 3 different headlines up here. And then you can also add up to 4 different descriptions to test. So I'm going to add in a couple more here. And now you're all the way up to 1,440 different combinations. So when you go through this, there's going to be countless different combinations, but this is good to just test this out because like I mentioned before, you want to include keywords, unique descriptions, what is the solution you're offering, all those type of things. But if you look at this and you see keyword, 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 and there's no solution, it's not going to make sense to the consumer.
So this is all great, Dustin. How do we make sure the ad headlines include a keyword plus solution and call to action, especially when these ads are subject to just being, randomized?
Right. Yeah. There's 1,400 different combinations. How can you control that a little bit more? That is where pinning comes into play. So you can pin a couple different ways. So first, I'm going to show you like you get pins something in position 1. And so this stays in position 1 for all the combinations. And you saw that it went down to 720. So that time tracking software is always in position 1. You can also do that all the way to, you can pin position 2, position 3, and you can also position your descriptions, but now you have more control. So now you're only really testing out the 4 different descriptions. So when you randomize this, the top 3 headlines stay the same and the descriptions are changing. The other way to pin it is here. Let me take these pins off real quick. You can, so let's say these 2 are going to be keyword focus. These 2 are going to be the solution that you're offering. And then these 2 are going to be calls to action. You can actually also pin multiple ones to position 1. So if you look here, if you randomize it, it's going to be either time tracking software or easy time tracking software. And you can also pin the second one. So the second one could be like your solution. So it could, and then the third one could be positioned where it's your call to action.
So Dustin, quick question for you, a side question. Are all 3 headlines always going to show, or does Google sometimes, leave one out or 2 of them out, just based on any random reason or quirk of fate?
Yes, that is a very good question. It will always show at least 2, and it's randomized when it shows 3. There's a lot of different factors on it. Even when you go through some of this, you'll see like only 2 showing up. So every single ad will show at least 2 headlines, sometimes 3. And it'll always show 2 different descriptions.
Got it. So if there's something that you want to pin, that you need to pin, have to pin for whatever reason, and you have to make sure that it shows up in your ad, you should probably look at pinning it in headline 1 or headline 2 to guarantee that it always shows up. Correct?
Correct. And also, like, if you have some kind of like legal disclaimer that you need to add in the description, you can always do the same thing. You can pin it to always be in position 2.
Got it. So Dustin, this is all great. Question for you. What does Google look for when it comes to, ad strength? What do they consider a strong ad?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So I'm going to switch over to using a B2C client, but there's a couple things that they always look at. They like you to use as many headlines and descriptions as possible, so they have more to play with the machine learning. But they also want your headlines and descriptions to be very unique, include popular keywords. And then another good thing is to include calls to action. Drive your customers to act now. So switching gears and going to a B2C client, I'm just going to add in a bunch of different headlines here. So bear with me, a lot of copy and pasting. If you're in the actual Google Ads tool and you start adding in more of these, they're going to start giving you a better ad score with the more headlines you add. And then you can add up to 4 different descriptions, as mentioned before. And then we're going to go back to, you can add different site links to your site. So these could be 4 different links outside of your landing page. And once you do this, it starts making your ad bigger and bigger. And so it takes up more real estate within the Google search results page. So the more real estate you take up, the higher chance of it being clicked on. So your click-through rates will actually go up as well. So you can see, you can add in call extensions, you can add in a message extension, structured snippets. This is where you can be like your brands. And then that will show up in the ads as well. So as you can see, if you actually get up to 15 headlines, the combinations are really massive. So let's add in as much possible data as you can. And for the sake of this, I'm just going to copy a lot of these. You can do that in the publisher, but just for
That is a massive amount of variations.
yes.
Wow. How can you, I mean, how can the machine possibly optimize that from that number? I mean, you'd have to have huge volumes to be able to even get some data on that, wouldn't you?
Yes, and that's where things have changed quite a bit with expanded text ads. You could go in there and test 3 different variations and you can see conversion data being like, all right, this one's outperforming this one. This is the worst performing one. And we can, tweak that one to see if it can outperform the best performing one. Now, with so many different possible combinations, Google only gives us data into the impressions, meaning how often each of these combinations show up as an ad. So if you go into Google Ads, you have asset detail reports, and this shows you the asset, whether it's a description or a headline, and then asset type is the headline or description. Used by shows the number of different ads that specific headline or descriptions in, and then the performance only shows you the percentage of impressions that are either learning, low, good, or best. So with that limited data, there is a couple things that you can do. So you can take and same as with expanded text ads, you can have up to 3 different RSAs in each ad group to test against each other. So one thing to think about is you can go in there and look and find all the best asset combinations. So all the best headlines, all the best descriptions, and you can pin all that into a specific ad. Or you can take all the best asset combinations and test different position combinations, like you can do keyword, solution, call to action, or you can also do call to action, keyword, solution. You can test those 2 different variations. So you have 3 different options there. Another option you could do is test new variations of all the low assets, just so everything that's performing low, just replace them with something new and see if that gets a better score.
Wow, this is a lot, isn't it?
Yes. Going in there and actually optimizing it is going to be a little bit harder because there's so much data. But another thing to look at is just look for trends. You always look for trends and data. So look at trends at like what assets are performing the best. Are they related to keywords? Are they related to like deals versus free shipping? Like try and find those trends, and then you can optimize your ads even further.
Got it. So Dustin, question for you. So you mentioned way back when earlier in the talk about the importance of ad headlines, including keywords, things like that. This is obviously a mock tool. So, but in the real thing, is there still such a thing as dynamic keyword insertion?
Yes, there is. So you can insert keywords, you can insert locations, all that's available within responsive search ads as well.
Got it. And so dynamic keyword insertions, for those who don't understand, how would you define that in a nutshell?
So the way it's added into the actual publisher is with the curly braces, but so let's just say keyword, and we'll call it vintage t-shirts. So if they search vintage t-shirts, it's going to show up in position 1 as vintage t-shirts right here. But if the keyword is too long or it doesn't match, it's going to replace their keyword with vintage t-shirts.
So there'll be some kind of variation of vintage t-shirts.
Yeah, or say you look at like old logo t-shirts. If it fits within the 30 character count, it's going to say old logo t-shirts here. If it's too long, then it's going to say vintage t-shirts.
Got it. And in the real interface, would it actually show up with that bracket and the word keyword? Okay.
No.
It would just show up. You would just see the actual keyword.
Yeah, it would say like vintage t-shirts if that's what they spelled.
Got it. Got it. Okay, that makes perfect sense.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you to Adam and Dustin for showing us our new ad tool we have on NordicClick.com, and thank you for guiding us along with that tool. And thank you all for joining us today. If you have any questions, please feel free to put a comment in the video or send us a message on our website. We'd be happy to connect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.